Right now, some part of you does not believe these words apply to you. You will die. You know it as a fact. You've signed forms that assume it. You've stood at funerals and watched it happen to other people. And yet sitting here in the quiet machinery of your own mind, there is a stubborn voice that simply refuses to file you under the same category as everyone in the ground. That voice is not a flaw, it's a feature, and the real reason it exists is far stranger than denial. Your brain is not built to understand your own death. It is built to prevent you from ever fully facing it. These are not the same thing. Consider what death actually asks of you. It asks you to imagine a state with no imagining in it. No darkness, because darkness is something seen. No silence, because silence is something heard. No waiting, because waiting takes time, and there is no you left to spend it. Every time you try to picture being dead, you smuggle a hidden observer into the scene. You picture the funeral, and there you are, watching from above. You picture the void, and there you are, floating in it, noticing the nothing. You cannot remove yourself from the picture, because the one doing the picturing is you. This isn't a personal failing, it's structural. The psychologist Ernest Becker spent his life on this single idea. In his book, The Denial of Death, he argued that nearly everything humans build, the cathedrals, the empires, the desperate scramble for fame and legacy, is a quiet defense against one unbearable fact. You are an animal that knows it will rot. And no animal can hold that knowledge and stay calm. So your mind does something clever. It looks away. But it doesn't look away with a shrug. It looks away with architecture. Decades after Becker, 3 psychologists, Jeff Greenberg, Tom Pischinsky, and Sheldon Solomon, turned his idea into an experiment you can actually run. They called it terror management theory. The premise is simple. Remind people, even subtly, that they will die, and watch what happens next. Not panic. Something quieter and far more revealing. In study after study, people who were reminded of their own mortality clung harder to their worldview. They defended their nation more fiercely. They judged outsiders more harshly. They wanted more money, more status, more proof that they belonged to something that would outlast them. The reminder of death didn't make people think about death. It made them reach for anything that felt permanent. You do this too. You just don't notice the moment you're doing it. Think about the last time you felt a sudden need to matter, to be remembered, to leave a mark, build something, have children who carry your name. That urge feels like ambition. Underneath it often is something older. A small animal in your skull, sensing the edge of the cliff, scrambling for a handhold that will hold after you're gone. This is the strange engine. The thing your brain can't face becomes the thing that drives almost everything you do. But why would evolution build a mind like this? Why give you enough intelligence to foresee your own death, but not enough peace to accept it? Here is where it gets stranger. Your awareness of death may be the accidental cost of something far more useful. The same brain that lets you plan tomorrow lets you dread the final tomorrow. The same imagination that lets you rehearse a conversation before you have it, lets you rehearse a grave you'll never witness. You cannot have foresight without also seeing the end of the road. Death awareness isn't a feature evolution selected for. It's the shadow cast by the thing it did select for, a mind that thinks ahead. And a mind that thinks ahead but cannot bear what it sees needs a way to keep functioning. So you were given the looking away. Watch how it operates in ordinary life. When you read a statistic about how many people die each year, the number lands as information, not as a knock on your own door. When you're young, old age feels like a different country, one you're certain you'll somehow avoid reaching. When you do something dangerous, a small voice insists nothing truly bad will happen to you specifically. Psychologists have a name for this. They call it the optimism bias, and it's remarkably consistent. People routinely believe they're less likely than others to suffer illness, accident, divorce, ruin. Less likely than average, all of them, at once. It's mathematically impossible, and nearly universal. The neuroscientist Tali Sharot studied this directly. She found that the brain is unusually good at updating its beliefs when the news is good and oddly resistant when the news is bad. Tell someone their risk of something terrible is lower than they feared, and they absorb it instantly. Tell them it's higher, and the belief barely moves. Your brain, it turns out, is a careful editor of your own future, quietly trimming out the worst possibilities before they reach you. This is the looking away, running silently every day in everyone. Now here is the twist you might not expect. This isn't only a prison, it might be a kind of mercy. Imagine the alternative. Imagine a mind with no buffer, a mind that felt the full, vivid certainty of its own ending in every waking moment. Not as an abstract fact, but as a present, physical dread, as sharp as a hand around your throat. You could not work. You could not love. You could not plan a garden or learn an instrument or laugh at anything, because every act would dissolve under the same question. Why, if it all ends? The looking away is what lets you live as though the next moment is promised. It is the reason you can make plans at all, but there is a cost to a mind built this way, because the denial is never total. It leaks. It leaks in the small hours, when you wake at 3 in the morning and feel, for just a few seconds, the flaw drop out from under your certainty. It leaks at the funeral of someone your own age, when the category you kept them in suddenly opens to include you. It leaks when a doctor pauses a half-second too long before speaking. In those moments, the architecture cracks, and you see straight through it. And then, almost always, the mind repairs itself. By morning, the denial is back in place. You make coffee, you answer emails, you forget on purpose, without ever deciding to. This is what you are, an animal that knows and survives by half forgetting. But consider what this means for how you actually live. So much of what drives you, the comparison, the status games, the need to be seen, the fear of being ordinary and forgotten, is the looking away wearing a costume. When you chase a bigger title, a louder reputation, a name that echoes, you are often not chasing the thing itself. You are reaching for permanence. You are an animal at the edge of the cliff, building something tall enough to stand on. There's a freedom hidden in seeing this clearly. Because once you notice the engine, you get a choice the engine never gave you. You can't ask whether the things you're chasing are things you actually want or just handholds against the drop. You can notice that the project consuming your one finite life might be a defense, not a desire. The denial of death runs whether you watch it or not. But you can watch it. The philosophers who thought hardest about this didn't conclude that you should despair. They concluded something closer to the opposite. The Stoics kept a phrase close. Memento mori, remember you will die, not to terrify themselves, but to sharpen the value of the hours they had. The knowledge that the road ends is also what makes any step on it matter. A thing that lasts forever cannot be precious. Scarcity is where meaning comes from. So your brain hides your death from you to keep you functioning. And the moment you gently lift that veil on purpose, just enough, you find the thing the denial was hiding all along. Not terror. Time. A finite, irreplaceable, astonishing amount of time that you almost spent without ever noticing you had it. You will die. You've always known this. But right now, reading these words, some braver part of you finally believes it and is wondering for the first time what to do with the time that's left.